You guys ready to go over some TDD? Basically, I'm going to go through the routes demo. So most of you already should have gone through some TDD stuff where you're like testing outputs and things that certain functions do and things like that. Actually, there's a whole bunch of other things you can test. Like what we're going to test is routes, making sure that certain routes go to where you want them into the right controller, the right method. You can also test forms and test inputs, and you can even test things from other sites too. But today we're just going to focus on routes. So basic assignment, create a new Rails project where we're literally just checking 3 routes. There's really not much to this one. So just checking root goes to an index method in Dojo's controller, /hello goes to a world method, /ninjas goes to a ninjas method. Alright, so testing, it's kind of backwards. So you always want to build the tests first, fail them, and then write the code, make them pass, and then you can refactor, make it cleaner and all that. So this assignment's pretty cool. It actually gives us some of the first steps. So let's go ahead, pull up a terminal. So we got Rails new, we're calling it RSpec routes. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm just going to go with what's in the assignment. Hopefully this goes faster than when Liam does it. Well, we can probably move on in the meantime while it's building that. Okay, so now we need to add this group to the gem file. This by bug, actually in the current Rails, at least the one I have, that's already in there. I'll show you that. We'll need RSpec Rails. For this assignment, we actually don't need Capybara or Selenium WebDriver. So I'm not going to put those in there because we don't need it. For the assignment right after this one, though, you are going to need that because Capybara is what you need to basically be able to test out like forms and stuff. It'll allow you to like fill in information in the forms, click buttons, and act like a user. Selenium does all that, but lets you hook up to like, say you want it, like the example they give, say you want to hook up to Facebook and see if you can log in Facebook. It'll let you do something like that. So let's just add those two, RSpec and RSpec Rails. So, okay, here's the project folder. Go to gem file and see here. Wow, that's really big. Let's see. This thing's already using bybug, which I haven't used it, so I don't really know what it does that well yet. We're just gonna make another group, development and test. And we'll do gem RSpec and RSpec Rails. Save that. And okay, that's done. So let's bundle install. Oh, I forgot to go into the project. There we go. Alright, so now we want to create this, do these 2 commands, Rails generate, RSpec install, and bundle exec RSpec. And that's actually going to do a couple of cool things. So right now in RSpec, there is no RSpec or any folders in there like that. So what was that first one? Rails generate, RSpec install. So that's running, and bam, those folders just added, what do we add? We add this RSpec file, which has nothing in it, and we added this spec folder that has a Rails helper and a spec helper, which we're not going to mess with those today. Okay. And now we need to bundle exec RSpec. Okay. And that's basically all the setup we need. Alright, so let's go through here. Okay, now this part, it tells you to add this stuff in here. This is for Capybara. Since we don't need it for this assignment, I'm not going to do it. But next assignment, you will need to do this. And the next assignment doesn't give you all this stuff. So when you get to RSpec routes, this has all your initial setup part. Okay, so let's go ahead and create some stuff. Dojo's controller. I'm not going to write any code, but I know we need a Dojo's controller, so I'm just going to generate that really quick. 3 capital, yeah. Okay. And I don't think I could, no, it won't let me. Okay. So in our project folder, now you can see it because it's really tiny. We have our any app made our Dojo's controller. But also, because we did all the RSpec stuff before, as soon as we did a Rails generate controller, it instantly, in the spec folder, created a controllers folder, and in that, created a file for us to start so we can do testing on that controller. It'll do the same thing when you generate a model. So if you generate a user model, it'll instantly create a models folder in the spec, and then just start off with like a blank slate for you to do testing on that model. Okay, so let's go ahead and write some routes or some expecs. So say, what was the first one? It routes to root to the Dojo's controller index method. I'm not going to fully write these out yet. I'm just going to write out what we want it to do. And we'll see other ones. Routes /hello to world and /ninjas to ninjas. So routes /hello to Dojo's controller world method and ninjas to the Dojo's controller ninjas method. Okay. It's a lot of redundant typing here, but you still kind of want these because if one of these tests fail, it'll display this whole thing that you type here. So when you read the failure, it kind of helps you see where it is. Okay, so if all you do is write these, and you don't do don't write do something or expect something, it will actually, if we run RSpec spec. Okay, so it basically just ran the tests, and it sees 4 examples, 0 failures, but 4 pending. That's because I never fully wrote up these tests, so it considers these to simply be pending. And the cool thing about this, it talks about on platform, but you can use this kind of as a feature to-do list. So say you're building out your app, you have this idea for all these things you want to do, you can kind of just write them out here, and then as you're building it, look at this to see what you want to do, and then just slowly build it out like this. So that's one cool thing that you can do with that. And then notice there's 4 actions, so I only had 3 in there. It's also seeing something in the helper file, and that's because I ran RSpec spec, and when you run RSpec spec, it runs all the test files inside of the spec folder. If you want to be more specific and say, okay, well, we only want to run this one controller file. We don't need to run all the other models, whatever else we create. So then you just write down the path. So RSpec spec controllers and the name of the file, which is Dojo's controller spec RB. Controller spec.rb. Run that. And same thing, still pending, but notice now it's only 3 examples because it only ran just that one file, and that's it. Let's go ahead and write up these tests. In fact, let's just finish this one. So it routes root to the Dojo's controller index method. Oh yeah. Let's do our end. So we want to expect, okay, this is where it gets a little tricky. So you expect a GET request that goes to root. Oh wait, need that to be in quotes. So it was all red. .to route to And where does it route to? You have to get like really specific here. So first it goes to the controller. Oops. And this one is called dojos. And then the method, which here you describe it as action index. Okay. I'll just comment these two. I'm only going to do one at first just to see if we get it working. So let's run the test, and it should fail. Here's another reason why you want to run the test even when you know it's going to fail, because if you get something like this, the test didn't run because there's something wrong. So what, syntax error, unexpected keyword end. Oh, controller spec RB9. Oh, that's because, yeah. So this it block, when I had it pending, I just wrote what I kind of want feature. I forgot the do at the end there. So it didn't see the do, so it thought I had an extra end for no reason. Okay. Let's try that again. This time, there we go. Okay. So we got a failure. If you read through here, the failure dojo controller routes to the dojo's controller index method. This part is exactly what I wrote in the it statement. And then here it tells you, shows you what the test is that failed, and just simply said no route matches root, which we know because we didn't do anything. So let's go ahead and make this test pass, and let's see. So let's go to app controller, dojo's controller, and def index. And we actually don't need to put anything in the method because we're just testing the routing here. We're not testing what it does. So that should be all we need. Let's run that really quick. Failed again because I did not actually do anything in the routes file. What's that? Let's get rid of that. Where's it? Config routes. Be smaller. Okay. So what is it? Get how's it go? Root, and that's going to quotes. Users index. Try that. Okay. I actually did this on purpose. I knew what I was doing. But anyway, we got a slightly different error. It says a route matches. So it's like, hey, I found a route, but the controller you're referring to doesn't exist. So I'm so used to typing users. I did this earlier, so I was like, I'll just do it again. So it's actually dojos. All right. Now it should pass. And there we go. So when they pass, it actually doesn't really, because you might have a lot of tests, so it doesn't show each test that passed. It just simply says how many tests you had and how many failures, which is 0. So now we know that works. Let's go ahead and finish up our other ones. Comment that out. Alright, so I'm literally pretty much just copying everything that's up top, except this one is to hello. Dot 2, route 2, controller, dojos. Oops, really? No. Action. And that went to world. And let's do this one. All right, we're going to expect this one. /ninjas to route to Dojo's controller, action, ninjas, right? Yeah. Okay. So I wrote my tests out, and even though I know what I need to make them work, you still always just want to run the test after you write them out. Make sure you have no other problems. So the tests are running fine. 3 examples, 2 failures. No route matches hello, no route matches ninja. So let's first create these routes. Hello. That goes to world. Ninjas goes to ninjas. And let's create those methods. All right. And let's run the tests. All right. 3 examples, 0 failures. And that is literally that entire assignment. But let me just add one more example in here because these are all GET requests. So what about POST requests? So let's just say we have a way to create ninjas. So let's just say routes POST request to/ninjas to the dojo's controller. And this will be a create method. Do. And this is where it's different. So this first part, that's the type of request you're doing. So for this, you would just change that to post, so it knows it's a post request. And same thing if you use put, patch, delete, it would be the same thing. And so this is also to ninjas. To route to controller dojo's action create. Oh, nope. Test is written. Run a test. Make sure that fails, which it does. What's interesting is here it says no route matches ninjas, so it doesn't tell you it's a post request, but if you read your test, you know it is, because technically a route does match ninjas, but that's a GET request, not a post. All right, so let's just add in a post to ninjas, and that goes to dojo's create. Go in here. Def create. And for example, 0 failures. So all of our routes now work. All right, and that's pretty much it. Any questions, anything else you want me to mess around with, try something? Pretty straightforward. Yeah. Cool.